What happens when the dream of a new world turns into a claustrophobic nightmare? In the Arizona desert, a glass ark held this terrifying truth. It was 1991. Humanity looked to the stars with renewed desire, dreaming of colonizing other planets. A testbed was needed, a gigantic laboratory that could replicate Earth and demonstrate our ability to survive in isolated environments. Amid the dust and silence of the Arizona desert rose a glass and steel structure that defied the imagination. Biosphere 2. A colossus, a technological marvel, a modern ark ready to sail not on the seas, but towards the future. But behind the unbridled optimism and promises of progress, there lurked a dark omen, an invisible crack in the glass destined to shatter all hope. What was really lurking inside that glass prison? Biosphere 2 wasn't just a building, it was an entire ecosystem, a self sustaining microcosm, a gigantic glass cage designed to house 8 individuals for 2 years, sealed off from the outside world. The idea was as simple as it was ambitious to recreate the delicate balance of our planet within it. Teeming rainforests, vast savannas, arid deserts, and even a small ocean with its own coral reef, everything had been meticulously reproduced. Scientists, engineers, and biologists worked side by side with confident smiles, while cameras documented every stage of construction and preparation. 8 bionauts, as they were called, were about to enter this time capsule, ready to demonstrate that man could dominate nature, even recreate it. It seemed like the beginning of a new era, a bold leap toward a space age future. But that dream, so lucid and crystalline, soon shattered against the harsh laws of reality. The countdown ended. The doors closed tightly, the outside world faded behind the glass. At first, the interior of Biosphere 2 shone. Plants flourished, the air was fresh, the excitement palpable. But perfection was only an illusion. Slowly, inexorably, that artificial paradise began to reveal its dark side, turning into a suffocating trap, a glass hell from which there was no escape. The first catastrophe was invisible, yet the most terrifying: oxygen. The beating heart of life, the very air that filled the lungs of 8 human beings, began to diminish. Not a sudden collapse, but a slow strangulation. The bionauts began to feel tired, weak. Every breath became a burden, an agony. The feeling of pressure in their chests, their minds fogged. The calculations showed an inexorable descent, a number that dropped and dropped, promising silent asphyxiation. They were trapped, watching the vital air vanish. Then came the crawling nightmares. In an isolated environment, without natural predators, insects multiplied uncontrollably. Ants infested every surface. Cockroaches swarmed. Beetles devoured crops with frightening speed. Those tiny, once harmless beings became a relentless army, taking over the structure, devouring hopes and supplies, turning every corner into a pulsating ant hill. Food, already scarce due to production problems and nutritional deficiencies, became a resource to be defended against a relentless multitude. Hunger bit, desperation spread, while faces gaunt from toil watched helplessly as their crops were destroyed. But the real catastrophe was neither the lack of oxygen nor the invasion of insects. The real catastrophe was the war that unleashed within the minds of the occupiers. 8 people, sealed in a bubble, cut off from the natural light of the sun, the vastness of the sky, the freedom of an open world, claustrophobia, a silent monster, crept into each mind. With each passing day, the dream increasingly turned into a claustrophobic nightmare. Tensions grew, misunderstandings turned into fierce arguments, mutual accusations, silent resentments, growing paranoia. What should have been a united team for the good of science broke into opposing factions, consumed by mutual distrust. Every glance became suspicion, every whisper a betrayal. The glass structure that was supposed to protect them now seemed to suffocate them, imprisoning them not only physically but also mentally. Clashes were the order of the day, voices raised and eyes filled with hatred and resentment. The project, born of the highest ambition, had transformed into an experiment in extreme isolation, revealing the fragility not only of ecosystems but of the human psyche itself. Biosphere 2 remained there, an empty shell, a haunting monument to a shattered dream, a prison of the future, a powerful and merciless warning. This failed experiment doesn't just remind us of the dangers of playing God or the arrogance of believing we can replicate a complex system like Earth. It reminds us of our fragility, our dependence on natural balances, and the destructive capacity of the human mind when pushed to its limits. His legacy is a glass shadow whispering in the desert, a harsh and unmistakable lesson. Don't repeat our mistakes. If you want to discover another experiment that challenged the limits of science and morality, watch our next video here.